We're going to do this now?
Ready to go.
Let's do it.
Ready?
I am ready. I want to jump back just because podcast is unadulterated. And one of my purposes in choosing that name was that it means pure, or it means with nothing added. But the other part I liked is that to me, it means unadult. And I think if you want to be happy, growing up is overrated. I think having that child inside of you when you're 61 or 71 or 81 or 91 is essential to happiness. And I think I spent a certain amount of years of my life trying to act like an adult, and it was exhausting. And now I can be the youngest guy in the room, in this room, and I'm not even close if you count in age. Unless you turn my numbers around, then I got them. But unadulterated is a good thing.
You said something to me that I disagreed with wholeheartedly when you said it. And I've been thinking about it since you said it. Anybody calling you after 6 needs to go and get a life. And it was a complete contradiction to how you've lived your life. Like your whole life, you've been militant in the way you eat, sleep, and breathe business and family. And now, to some people, they can say, oh, well, now you've sold your company and you found success, the American dream, the human dream. And now you're saying, turn your fucking phone off after 6 or 5 and enjoy your day. That's easy for you to say now. But you got to remember that 35-year-old, that 30-year-old, that 20-year-old that barely had a pot to piss in.
Oh, no, he didn't have a pot to piss in. He actually had to borrow someone's pot to piss in. But I know that I said that to you because I was Pavlov's dog. I don't know if that plays to the younger people, but it was an experiment done with a bell that was rung to feed a dog, and eventually they could just ring the bell and the dog would salivate with no food. When my alarm went off, I went to work. I stayed at work till work was done. When I had my first son, Chandler, when Chandler got to be about 16 years old, and because he's genetically part of me, knew everything as I did at 16 years old, he said, Dad, why are you working so hard? Why are you doing that? Why are you not around here? And I will tell you, one of the people who taught me to live my life more and work less of it was my son, and he was right. And I was raised by a man who was a sweet man who worked too hard, who taught me to work too hard. You can be healthy and be more productive with putting less hours in. In the beginning, I was so panicked and I was so in a hurry to make up for lost time, to make up for the errors I made as a young man, that I never let myself rest. I was trying to catch up on mistakes I made. Now, for the last 12 or 15 years, I've meditated, and that takes time out of your day. Meditation is a practice that everybody should do that gives you back your time. But really, and I get up very early and go to work very early, everybody should have enough time in 8 to 10 hours a day to do all their work. And if we took care of each other and practiced that, like I feel the same way about when I was a kid, stores were closed on Sundays. That was a good thing. That gave everybody a rest. And it's not a religious perspective. It's a health or a human perspective. Everybody needs rest. Everybody needs time to think. This society has conditioned us that more is better and getting more at any cost is better. And what I'm saying now is it shouldn't be any cost. But if you remember what I told you about, there should be an app that if you call me after 6, you are entered into a free pool to win a vacation. That's what I said. So I'm not lecturing anyone. I'm suggesting we get their attention by their experience, which is what this podcast is about. I won't tell you anything I think is so. I'll tell you something I know to be so in my life. And if you want to experiment with it, that's a good idea. that I'm not giving you philosophy. I'm giving you things I know to be true. The other part is, in the last 6 years, I've worked smarter than I ever had and rested more than I ever had and been 10 times more productive than I ever had. I'm not telling you a concept I have. I'm not telling you an idea I have. I'm telling you the reality of what happened to me. My work was accelerated through my proper rest and my proper health and my proper mental state. I was a better producer and certainly happier. So I think, and candidly to Mr. Announcer, I think you suffer from the same work your way through it thing that I had, but.
No, I'll be fine.
I'm fine too, so you will be.
You always make it out at the end, right? You're a testament to that.
I think one of my keys to success, and again, I'm not sure how anybody describes success, stick-to-itiveness would be the number one component if you want to make it. You know, it's people say, I'm trying to do this or I'm trying to do that. If you're in the act of trying to do it, you're doing it. If you say you're trying, it implies you might not do it.
You said to me, I agree, money's not everything, but you do need it, enough of it, to survive. We were having a conversation about your lawyer friend. Was it Larry?
Yeah, Larry.
Larry. We were having a conversation about Larry, and you said, how much do you need to live, Larry? A phenomenal life where you can just
not worry anymore.
Yeah, not
live
worry
and get by and raise your family and do that.
I think you said 10.
Larry told me $10 million, and he was a successful attorney. He didn't have that kind of money, but he was on his way. He passed away short of doing that at a young age, 51. But we had that conversation, and the reason I was telling you about it is, to me at the time, a guy working in the seating business coming up and not by any means wealthy, just a hardworking guy, I was like, man, $5 million would be a lot. How the hell am I going to amass $5 million when I can't do that? He's talking 10, that's crazy. And I used it as an example to say that I will agree that at that time in my life that I thought $10 million, well, that's a huge amount of money, everything will be great. I actually thought it was too much. And what it strikes me as, how come it is, and everybody must go through it, from a starving actor to the chairman of the board of a big corporation, must have started somewhere where he thought, wow, if I could put my hands on $5 million, I'd be set. But these people are now earning hundreds of millions of dollars. I am focused every day on not getting addicted to money. If I am sure, I've seen the examples, if I get to the next accomplishment and keep all the profits for myself, I will not be as happy as I am now. And I find it curious that everybody thinks stacking that money away will make them happier, ensure their happiness. I actually agree with you that there's a certain amount of money that will give you a sense of security. I also will tell you that it's not real security. It's a sense of security. And it doesn't matter what the amount of money, a catastrophe could strike and take anything. You could get corona and drop dead. So what's your money worth? And the other thing that I'm amazed at every day is, if you have $3 million in the bank and you've decided that you can never let your bank account go below $2.5 million, you've got $500,000 in the bank. There's no other way to look at it. If you can't spend it, it's not money. But in this culture, guys are stacking it. It's a trophy. That's what they think. And people are starving and they don't have and they can't have. And they, I told you the story about Verloom, the new company, and how my goal is 50% of profits will go someplace to help people who need help. And I will probably steer that to people building their own business who can't get the funding, because I have a passion for that. And I remember how that was. I went to Shylock for my first loan. at 5% a week. I paid that loan for 19 months. That's $1,000 a week for 19 months. That's $19,000. That's actually 52. That's like $80,000 plus the 20 back. $100,000 for a $20,000 loan. That's how I started my business.
Do you think that this new podcast is for everybody? Of all races, of all genders, of all ages? Or do you think that you're speaking to a certain type of person?
I'm going to tell you my perspective on that. I don't think this podcast would be for everybody, but I don't think it will divide on racial lines or any of that. I frankly don't really subscribe to racial lines. We're human, that's the race. There is no other race. So I don't buy that. I think that people who won't listen to this podcast are people who can't take the leap. And I will tell you, leap is one of my favorite words, because to believe in the miracles that happen on a daily basis, to believe in the things that I currently believe are a function of life, like gravity applies to, gravity is a law. There's a law of gravity. I believe that the way you operate and what returns to you because of the way you operate is equally a law. And I believe that people who can take the leap and go back to when they were kids, to when they felt good about themselves and they felt that people were decent and people were good, and rekindle that and take that risk, this podcast is for you. That's one of the best quotes I've ever heard, and I've heard it a lot of places, is whatever you feed grows. I want to feed the positive side. I want to feed the love. I want to feed what people fed me, what my mentors fed me, and nurturing. I said it to you the other day that to me, love is, I want more for you than I want from you. If we could just do that, if you could just look at somebody and want more for them than you want from them, your life will instantly get better. That's the giving that everybody says it's better to give than to receive. That's what that is. And now you brought me to one of my favorite thoughts, which is, and I'm going to reverse this and ask my announcer a question. How come it is that everybody seems very stingy with love? They're not prepared to love. They're going to risk loving you. You might take their love from them. When I could give love to everybody in this room, I could send a message of love to everybody in this room, everybody in that camera, I could send love to, and I could get up from this chair and I have just as much love to give. There is truly nothing to lose in loving you unless you're worried about, if they don't love me back, my ego can't take that.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's when you're giving something, you're hoping, unfortunately, not saying this
you're
is the
making
right
a
thing.
business deal out of love. You're making an exchange. And I was raised that way. I was raised that, hey, I'll do this for you if you do that for me, or I love you because you did this. Let me tell you something. I got so lucky with my wife, my children, and yeah, I know you're going to object to use the word love. I got so blessed, better word, okay? Because I just love my kids. I just love my wife. And what it brought out in me by feeding it is, I'm sure you feel loved by me, and I've known you 2 weeks. That's it. I wake up, I see you, it brings a light out in me, I feel positive. There is no better return. That's the money, that's the payoff. That's what we're here for. And I am sure of this, and that goes back to your reason for the podcast. I'm sure that what I'm telling you that sounds a little crazy is true and works. That's like Oprah says, one thing I know for sure is that no matter how much love I give out, I never run out.
It's not draining at any point, even.
It's draining if you're expecting something back. If I want the return, it drains me. If I give the love, the more I give, the fuller I am. It's the truth. The more able I am to love. And sitting here, it's like a friggin' adrenaline rush because you got me on a topic that just fills the heart. It just fills the heart. And the beauty of semi-retirement or selling my businesses, and the beauty of the path I took, as hard as it was to my whole life only work for myself, it was freedom. I don't owe anybody saying something. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to feel badly about feeling one way or the other. It was a freedom that allowed me to take the leap.
At what point did you realize that, I don't know if this pun is correct, but your love should be unadulterated in the way that you give it? Was it a process? Or was it just a spiritual awakening at one point in time?
I realized early on, maybe 15, 18 years ago, that I was a little bit of a business negotiator around love. That I would give you my love if you gave me something back. And that's why I came up with, if I want more for you than I want from you. Because it keeps you away from making that deal. It keeps you in, I mean, the truth of it, and it's, I had a mentor, a guy who mentored me. You met his grandson earlier today. And he passed away at 85, and he mentored me for about 30 years. He was my next door neighbor's dad when I was a kid. I only ever called him Mr. Colarusso growing up. Then I lost my business. I lost my home. I was $600,000 in debt. And there was a knock on my door when everybody was running away from me because they didn't want me to borrow money. There was a knock on my door. And I opened the door, and it was Mr. Colarusso. And he had been a vice president of Hazeltine Electronics for years and quite a businessman. And he said, Scott, you can do this. If you want my help, I'll mentor you. And you can do this. And we started meeting regularly, once, twice a week. And the classic, and this is humorous, I'll share, he had one rule. And his one rule was, if I asked him for advice and I didn't take it, I could never ask him again. Because he knew he was dealing with a guy who thought he knew it all. And the beauty was, at that time, I was beat up, I was tired, exhausted. And I actually said to myself, you know what? We're going to ask Joe, and we're going to do exactly what Joe says. So I did that for about 2.5 years, and things started to get better. And we had the joy of a relationship. And that relationship was founded purely on love. There was no reason, no need. There was nothing to be gained. It was just love. There was no obligation. He wasn't my uncle. He wasn't anybody who owed me that. And it was one of the most loving relationships I had in my life. And it taught me that you love to love. You don't love to get something back. You love to love. And that is its reward. And if somebody doesn't get it, well, God, feel some pity, wish them a better education. But you can't win any battle without love. You can't fight and win. It's not a possibility. And that's a 61-year-old guy talking. So I understand that people watching will go, that's bullshit. You are so wrong. You are so wrong. And, I look out, and just because it's on topic, I see the protests going on, and I see people screaming, you have to do this, or you're wrong about that, or you're wrong about this. The truth doesn't have to be explained. The truth exists. It's a real thing. People know the truth. You don't have to convince somebody of the truth. So I think love is the lesson.
See, with me, love is a fear to it, right? Because if I give my love to someone, something, someplace, and it's not returned, it will leave you hurt in the end, right? No matter what it is, it's going to leave you feeling some type of way.
No, I totally disagree. If I love you, I can do nothing to pull my love back. Love's not a string. I don't have love that I give to you, and if you're not being nice to me, I can return my love. And there's no hurt that comes with it, unless I choose to interpret it as hurt. There's no natural hurt. I'm the same person who used to get hurt by risking love. Now I don't. Love didn't change. Love's the same. I think the lesson, and it came to me, was you can't do business with love, and loving, the act of loving, to give your love to another, is without care. It's a carefree act. It's not dependent on any other thing. It's a natural thing that takes place. It is not a negotiation. And if somebody doesn't love you back, try this. I'm lovable. If you don't see it, I'll give you a little more time. You're either lovable or you're not. You're either doing the right things or you're not. And it doesn't matter if you don't love me, I love me. And perhaps that's the biggest one.
Can love and business coincide?
Interesting question. One of my least favorite things about business today is when you're in a business meeting or you do business with someone you don't know very well, and at the end, they don't pay you your last 25%, and they realize that there's nothing you could do to get your money, and what they say to you is, come on, it's business. Well, if I was doing that transaction with a automated teller and it broke, I might say, oh, that's business. It's an automated teller. But every person that I do business with is a person. And the guys who think there's a difference between their business persona and their person are going to have a hell of a ride with karma. Because karma doesn't care if you do it in business or you do it at home. It's what you did. It's who you are. You're taking it with you. So if everybody delivered a quality product for a fair price and everybody could count on that, the world would be a better place. I would tell you that when I was a kid, my dad had less con men approaching him than I would now doing the same business. People now think you've earned the money if you end up with the money. They think they've earned the money because they have the money. That doesn't mean you earned it. I got a good one for you before you go. Back to the earning of the money. There's another one that kind of popped into my head one day because I'm passionate about, and I hate to say this because it makes me feel really old, the youth of today. I would say to a young person, are you going to work to take your money, or are you going to work to make your money? And if you go to work to make your money, you will be rewarded for doing a good job. Because the nature of business is, if you've done a good job, I, as the owner, will make more money. If you're going to work to take your money, you just struck a deal with me that you'll do as little as you can, and my natural deal is to give you as little as I can. And that's what people don't realize. You've got to take the leap. You've got to trust something. And besides that, you're giving up your 8 hours, either wasting your time and taking your money or investing your time and making your money.
Man, love is such an interesting conversation. It's just so deep. It's there's so much depth to it. It's not just because you run a business, you have to fire people. That you love. You've had to show tough love probably to your sons, right? But other people have had to show tough love to you. It's such a, and do you lose love for something or someone?
I actually have a theory, and this is, again, it's my experience and it's what I think happened. My folks got divorced when I was a kid, and they both remarried. I don't think they ever loved the next people any more than they loved each other once. And what boggled my mind, and still boggles my mind today, is I know I love my wife. I know we've had arguments. I know that if I chose to leave one day, that I would still love her. So when my father left my mother, did he decide he wasn't going to love her anymore? And is that even possible? Is that even possible? I don't think it goes away. I think they act like it goes away because their ego's hurt, because somebody left the other, and because they're not together and they've got to salvage. I don't still love them, because if I still love them, I'd be with them. And I'm blessed. I get to love the people I love. But, back on that subject, I was a young man. It was probably 25 years ago, and I stood in front of a mirror, and I had a little bit of a wild spurt there from 20 to 35.
That's a little bit more than a little bit. That's a decade and a half.
You're not going to allow me that?
That's a decade and a half.
It was a bumpy road. Well, there's degrees of wild spurt, but there were times during the 20 to 30 period where if I could have looked at the guy in the mirror and got away from him, left him, divorced him, I would have. But I couldn't. I had to work on him. And thank God. And thank God I found people to help me. And thank God people cared enough to help me.
You think the hardest thing of it all is loving yourself? Like, is that the hardest thing in life to do? Is to look in the mirror at the person staring back at you and to genuinely love that person? And is that the key to love?
I think doing it is probably unbelievably simple. I think the social stigma in doing that, or the mix-up involving ego in doing that, makes it difficult. I would tell you that the difference is I was stuck as a younger guy loving myself, meaning, wow, what a good-looking guy, what a smart guy, what a whatever. Now I'm looking at myself go, God, do I love the childlike essence inside of me? Do I love that? But that's pure. It's in there. It's in everybody out there. You may think, I hear that voice once in a while. Nurture that voice. You're looking at that voice. I think I am thinking now at 61 more like a 8-year-old than ever. And I think that 8-year-old was as loving and caring and kind as anybody could be, and that's who I want to be. I don't want to be some angry businessman who hates his employees, who wants to find the next dollar.
That's the toughest part. And that's where the skeptics are going to come in for the podcast, because they're going to listen and they're going to say, well, he could do it. That's one off. And as to reiterate, well, he's found success, but the success came with self-growth.
Wait. To be clear, success found me.
Bullshit. You found success. You had to go out and earn it. You had to go out and put some work in.
That supports your point of view. That supports that hard work will make you rich. That's your model. That's what the skeptics are going to do. They're going to say it worked for him, he got lucky. No, he got his mind right, and that produced his luck. It wasn't my work, it was my love. What would happen if that were true? What would happen if that were true, Trevor? If it wasn't the work you produce that makes you successful or happy or anything else, but it was the love you produce, the love you give, your decency as a person, your care, your generosity. I will tell you personally that I am a big believer in generosity, and I am telling you factually, you can do nothing smarter to ensure your happiness than share. And I'm only at the tip of my game, because I'm going to keep working and building companies and doing things, but I'm going to try to set up a paradigm where I don't keep it, I give it away. That's my goal. We have a guest mailman coming on now. I'm Mr. Rogers. Wait, the mailman's here. Mr. Mailman, how are you today? It's a beautiful name in the neighborhood. A wonderful day.
Keep all this.
Will you be mine? Could you be mine? Trevor, I like your little fucking psychotic episodes. They're great.
Who, me?
Yeah.
We're just having a little conversation.
I know, but you believe some of the shit you're saying.
The love part. Because that part's tough.
What part of it's tough?
The trust, because...
No, that's the leap.
That's the leap. The trust.
It's not tough. It's not tough. It's the leap. And that's where I'll get in trouble in this podcast, because people in the society are taught it's not worth the risk.
It's a big risk.
This podcast is telling you it's worth the risk. The leap of, by the way, you're only leaping back to where you've been. The child you were when you were born believed what I believe right now. That's what you're leaping back to. Pre-programmed. Pre the bullshit coming in from outside people who have lived in fear their whole damn life. You want to buy into that? I strongly recommend you leap as fast as you can away from that. And the reason for the podcast, and I know it sounds dreamlike, I know it sounds miraculous, it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. The care the universe will take of you if you allow it to.
I don't want to give away everything, but where in the fuck did these universal concepts come from? Because it seemed like they came out of nowhere at this pivotal point at age 35.
No, that's not fair.
No, that's not true?
That's not fair. I've been waking up every day at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and reading some type of spiritual book for an hour and a half, and then meditating. And I found an author named James Allen who wrote about 120 years ago. And I read his writings almost every day.
Well, what age is this?
Huh?
What age was this where you found this?
This was from 12 years ago till now.
Okay.
And I read his writings almost every day. And as you read it, or as I read it, I started to say, that's interesting, wonder. And then whatever you feed grows. So if you feed that every day.
Good or bad?
Good or bad. So you start to recognize what people would call coincidences in your life that match the teachings in the book. And then maybe you say, maybe it's not a coincidence. There is no coincidence between the fact that I focused on being a better person and my dreams came true. That is not coincidental. And you can say, he's a crazy person. I'm good with that. My wife said I was a crazy person yesterday. Perhaps she's right. But there is no coincidence between the fact that I took the leap and I said, I want to treat people the way they should be treated. My mentor said to me, when you're doing business, if you do something wrong by a client, I don't care if it costs you $2,000, $4,000, or $60,000. You make it right. And the first couple of times, it only cost me 2 or 4. And then one time it cost me like 80. And I tried to convince myself he was wrong. And then I said, screw it. I'm going to do the right thing. And doing that becomes habit forming. And those habits make you a better person. And being a better person makes your life better. And people will say no. And they will say, and by the way, I'm not talking about overnight. I'm not talking about The Secret. I'm talking about ethics, caring, sharing, generosity. I'm talking about all that in my experience. I want to get back to the love thing because you seem confused.
Very confused. For those in the room that don't know, I just got in a relationship. This is new. Ben, this is new. This is new. I think, you know, it was like I found myself having her in this deep 7-month interview process to be my girlfriend, right?
To that, I would say,
100%. No. I mean, this is a beautiful woman, and from the outside looking in, everybody was like, "What are you doing?" But I wasn't thinking of it like them. There's so much within that I needed to deal with, and there's so much lack of trust I have for people and people around me because of I've been hurt in the past. Not even talking about relationships, just by people. To put my love out there was probably and still is the most difficult thing in this relationship. Last night we were talking about love, and I damn near, I thought I ran around a track because we started talking about love. We thought I was in the sauna. It's like, what's wrong? I gotta go to the bathroom real fast. And, you know, because we're talking about love and all its parts. Because to me, it's like a car. There's a transmission in this thing. There's an engine in this thing. There's wheels. There's a shell that makes it that protects the interior.
to love?
Yeah.
And I would say you're making it too difficult. I'll ask you a question, and I'm hoping you got the right answer. What's the most powerful force in the world?
I mean,
Love.
Okay.
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 Why would you just take out a little piece of it? Why would you take out all of it? Why wouldn't you love somebody like you want to be loved? Do you want to be loved a little?
It's a song, by the way. Go ahead.
What?
That's a song.
So why wouldn't you love? Why love with abandon? By the way, you'll make more. We just had that discussion. Put all your love out there. You go to sleep, you wake up, you're reloaded. You have more love. People can't take it. Give it to them. If I give you $20 and you walk away, can I say he took $20 from me?
No.
You can't take your love either. You gave it to her. And I have a suggestion. Give her all of it. My wife taught me that. She has no choice. She just loves. She's a love machine. She loves her kids. She loves her husband. She loves who she loves. And I finally went, just like you, I got to stop loving in little pieces. I got to stop loving a little. I got to put all my love out there. And as you, I was hurt.
See, the messed up part about it with me, and this is just me being candid.
By the way, Trev, I love you.
Love you too. You're an asshole. I find love like a video game, how I give it.
That sounds wonderful.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
Centipede or Pac-Man?
Listen, here's why. I'm explaining to you.
Centipede, I'll bet.
Something like, or Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid. You earn a new piece of my love.
You earn it.
Yes.
It's bad. Like a reward?
No, this is terrible. This is me being.
Are you dating a dog?
Huh?
Are you dating a dog?
No, but this is.
It's not like a kibble. Good dog. Here, have some love.
But a piece of my love is given. But this is something I realize is the complete wrong way to go about things.
And you're going to correct it when? Tonight?
I've been correcting it.
Okay.
It hasn't been overnight, but I've been correcting it because something that she showed me.
You gave her a little bigger piece?
No, she was just like, bro, you're just like, I'm not in this video game with you. Like, just because I did something right doesn't mean I get like a dog, doesn't mean I get a bigger piece of your love. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, fuck you. What are you talking about? Then I go home and I sit down.
It's very hood of you.
No. I sit down and I say, fuck you in my head. And then I would never say that to her. But then I sit down, I go home and I go, well, she's right. And I've been noticing through us talking and developing a relationship, 99.9% of the time, she's right.
About love. Or about everything.
Most things, but love in general.
That scares me having you as my producer,
Yeah.
but other than that, I'm good with it.
Love is, 100%. She's 100% right. And
she wants to love you.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
And you're not letting her because you don't want love.
No, don't say all that. This is going to come out on the air one day, and you're going to get me in the doghouse. I just got out.
She'll love this conversation, that you're concerned about it. You're playing it wrong. You can edit. We'll get this done.
But with that said...
So you said you want to marry her and what?
No. You see that? No. Edit point.
The M word. You guys heard that, right? A ring? What?
No. Edit point. Major edit point. Right here. Clap our hands.
By the way, I get all drops. Film, tape, everything. I get it all.
No, absolutely not. With the edited version, the pre-edited version of what's going to go out will give. But So everything you're saying hits home because it's something that I've been currently working on as of right now. Because you're just saying that, you go to a pool, you put your toe in, you want to see how, if it's warm enough or is it too cold, but you're just saying dive in, take a swim. I'm
actually going to tell you, and it's a strong feeling that I have, that love, one of my least favorite sayings is, oh, I don't love them like that. I don't love you like that. You're a friend. I don't love you like that. I got news for you. There's only one love. It's all love. The love for your brother, the love for your mother, it's all love, or it's not. I don't love you a little. I may not like that I love you, so I say I love you a little, but I love you. It's one size, it's universal, and it's all encompassing. And that's the only way love exists.
I disagree. We're going to disagree again.
No.
Here's why we're going to disagree.
Go ahead.
Because for your wife, Dalton and Chandler, and your grandkids, your future grandkids, you will love them more than you will somebody that you just met.
No.
It's a fact.
No, love is a fact. The energy called love is an energy. I love you and my family. I will see more. I will experience more love with them, the feeling of love, because I'm in their presence. But if you are living a divine life, if you are doing it correctly, I am sure you love everyone. I'm sure, and that's not a religious statement, that's a spiritual statement. I am sure if I want to be happy, thrilled with my life, living the best life I can, I need to love everyone. Why would I curtail, why would I try to divide up my love into these categories that you're doing? Why is one not enough? Why can't I love you like I love my children? What's my negative of that?
I don't think...
Where's my downside, to put it in today's words?
There is no downside.
So then why not do it?
But there definitely is, and we'll agree to disagree, there is a heightened level of not only sensitivity to their lives, but there's a heightened level of love for them compared to everyone else in your life, because you have a familiar, I can't even pronounce
familiarity.
The word. I can't even pronounce the word. You've been around them longer than everybody else. Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
No, I may be more at ease with the fact between them and me it's reciprocal and somewhat guaranteed, but I don't say it's different. And I also have learned everybody's uncomfortable about that. How can you love people you don't know? You have to know the readings of either Jesus, Buddha, or any of these other people. It all says the exact same thing. You don't buy into it? That the best way this place could exist is if we loved each other?
Oh, I have 100%.
You can see that far.
Yes. We're not going to disagree there.
Right.
But the fact that not everybody is walking around practicing those principles,
'Cause
those
they're
basic
scared.
principles.
Because they're scared.
But that's why people don't love as openly.
Because they're scared. And they also believe you're going to deplete their love, which we already know is impossible. You know, I understand people who say, hey, look, I got $100,000, and if I give you $50,000, I have 50 left. I better be careful about that. I can't give you all my money. But if I gave you $50,000 and went back to my shoebox and there was still 100, I'd give everybody money. That's what love is. It never goes empty. As long as you keep your mind right. No one's, the being in you, you know, I think there's a leap that you take when you're recognize that what I said earlier is not a turn of phrase to say, I'm a spiritual being. The way that I describe that better for me, because it's kind of stupid proof, I like things simple. The voice in my head that I hear, if I'm about to do something that's not quite kosher, that tries to talk me in reason, that's the spiritual being. That's the essence inside of me that knows the right thing to do. That's the one that wants to love. Not Scott, the 6'2", 61-year-old, blue-eyed, brown-haired guy. That's the bag I came in. Do I want people to love that? No. I want them to love the voice inside. And the only way to do that is let it out because it has no presence. You know, it's a whole societal thing. Everybody wants to look at somebody pretty and love somebody pretty. Well, shit, make a robot. Which, by the way, a lot of people are being made into now. So it's kind of appropriate, but I think there's a better way. Don't worry, you stick around with me. We'll get you through this.
The biggest one takeaway. There's no other takeaway. It's just one. If you're listening to this podcast for the next 10 to 15, 20 years, right? The one takeaway that you want anybody listening to this podcast to take away, what would it be?
That the way you think about your life and the way you think about your world manifests your world into being. Your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams have viability in this reality. That it's not a coincidence and it's not purely hard work. It's a undeniable belief that good things happen. And if you're sitting at home or wherever you're sitting and you're thinking to yourself, there's got to be more than this, then the podcast will help you find there's more than this. I'm going to talk and speak about what I went through and what it became and what it brought out in me now. I'm going to share comedic moments. I'm going to share my aspirations. And I know it had value for me. I know it changed my life. I know meditation and reading changed my life. But I think that what I'm putting out is really not put out, and I don't want to put it out for profit. I'm not interested in charging people to hear what I have to say or writing a book. It was given to me. I feel like I should give it to people, and I hope, therefore, it has more credibility and rings with more truth, because it's true. And that's it.
That's all we got.
That's all we got. You gonna go give her a big piece of love tonight?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Absolutely, I will. So the first one in the can?